Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy izlogic. Welcome you to this Anarchy analysis matchup of the week. Here in the world's group stages now, we decided to focus in on the NA and EU rivalry between Fnatic and Team Solo Mid for this first group stage matchup. Now, the big thing to note about this game is these two teams last faced off at Rift Rivals in 2019, and they essentially went to a one-on-one record during that event. They faced off in the relay race at the end, as well as in the first day of the event, and TSM won the first day's event. Fnatic won the relay race between the two regions. Now, as we're going to be preparing for draft, it's interesting to note right now the big things these two teams go towards. Self-Made tends to play very heavy carry junglers, though the likes of the Graves, the Evelyn, the Lilia. These sort of picks are what we see for him. Whereas on TSM side, Speaker goes towards the Nidalee. Even the set occasionally is the sort of his style. He goes to these early game playmaking champions, so expect to see the possible bans towards them sort of picks. Elsewhere on the map, you have TSM's superstar mid laner in Bjergsen, who goes towards Zillions, Syndra's. He can play pretty much anything in that mid lane, and for this game, TSM will be on blue side, Fnatic will be on the red side. It's interesting to note that as we load into the draft for this game. Now, bans that we've already seen come through is the Shen, the Thresh, then the TF from Fnatic, which is huge, and the Caitlyn to follow that up. So we're seeing some picks that have come out quite a lot for each team. Interestingly, TSM and the team to ban out the Shen. It's one of their pocket picks that they can just whip out and flex it pretty much anywhere on the map. It's sort of the G2 Pyke-esque champion, and realistically, I'm amazed they ban it themselves. They also ban out GP, and they're not allowing Bwipo a safe top lane. They want to probably pick for Broken Blade, a very advantageous matchup, and with first pick we're going to see what they go for here, and it appears to be the Nidalee. Now usually they pair this up with the Renekton, however it's been banned out here, and obviously when you ban out GP you kind of expect the opposition to ban out the Renekton afterwards, but Nidalee is a Speaker special. He carried on this during the playoffs for TSM. It's one of his best look junglers, where he looks to play for the early game. And essentially how this combo, or this champion likes to combo with his laners, is they go for a stun champion, and he's able to then just throw a spear, land that at probably almost max range, and lock him up and kill him that way. That is the essential power of this Nidalee, so expect something in the top lane that can essentially stun or lock up a target for TSM. As we look across to the Fnatic side, we see the Lucian, which is a big nemesis pick, something that he's gone towards in the playoffs. It was one of his big picks in the carry performance against the first series of G2 versus Fnatic, which he popped off in. And the Rakan is actually an interesting pickup here for Hylissang, as it's a sort of just yoink away from Biofrost. That is probably one of Bio's biggest picks that he goes towards in this meta, and we're seeing two big picks actually come in after it from TSM, the Camille and the Syndra. Syndra being the Bjergsen special that he's known for across the world. He's probably one of the best Syndras that's ever graced the Summoner's Rift. Now, as for Fnatic, I'm not shocked by this. The Evelyn's locked in, and oh boy, TSM need to be controlling the vision, and interestingly enough, in my opinion, Evelyn is a very good TSM pick if they were to have got it, because you just think TSM, well, the meme about TSM and their jungle is they're a glorified ward. And Evelynn is essentially that. She just walks around the map, invisible, and is able to gather so much information for the team, as well as have the ability to flank and absolutely demolish teams with the amount of burst she does. Anyway, moving into the ban phase, seeing Fnatic target out the support pool here, I'd probably expect the Nautilus to be banned out last, as it would be a big sort of opportunity to kind of lock up that Rakan, which would be a good option for TSM. But they instead pivot over to Lulu. I'm not a big fan of that ban. I mean, Bio has played it before, though it's not a pick that's in the meta right now. It's a lot more engage heavy supports. It's what we're tending to see here at Worlds. And that is sort of the big sort of playmaking champion that you realistically need. Now, TSM banning out one of the holy trinity of play-ins, Yawn, here in this second phase, and they're putting this Fnatic top lane into a less advantageous spot. Obviously, Bwipo still has picks like his Cho'Gath. He could even pivot over to a Jax if he wanted to go aggressively into the Camille and use the counter strike to negate the damage that the Emil would look to do with a hook shot. But it's going to be the Volibear, which is almost certainly going to be in the top lane, with the Lucian going mid, Evelynn into the jungle. Volibear's realistically only going to be able to go into the top lane. And Fnatic saving counter pick for Rekkles here, which is going to be very interesting to see. And options that he has got available is the Jhin, that is still available. Ashe is also available if he wants to go towards that. I don't think that Vayne or Xayah will come through. Draven, no. Ori, no. Though Rekkles does play AP mage champions in the bot lane, I don't think any of these hovers are going to be what they go for. And what do you know, it's the Jhin. So it's Jhin and Rakan going into an Alistar in the center. I like this Alistar pick for Biofrost. Obviously you can knock away the Rakan. As he's trying to quickness in, you can just stop him from getting anywhere near your team. You've also can headbutt away the Evelynn, so she cannot realistically execute you. But it's obviously all about timing and usage of that ultimate, whether or not he can use it in time to stop the Evelynn from getting in and killing off his team. So a lot of pressure put onto TSM to get things done here. I do feel that this Fnatic draft is far superior. Obviously, they've got the burst potential, they've got the roam potential, and volley into Camille favours the volley. Obviously, volley is a very strong dueling champion that gets a lot of health. You just build up your health and you build up your defenses that way, and realistically you can deal with the Camille burst out with very little kind of pressure. As for the jungle, it's going to be Nidalee having to make early plays to be actually make any relevance to this game, as Nidalee has got to get one of her lanes going, and with this Camille I'd probably expect her to be going up there to give the duality of damage, as it would be an AP and AD champion for TSM going for plays in the top side so that they can maximize their damage output onto a champion. Mid lane, it's Bjergsen on Syndra versus Lucian. Kind of a skill matchup in my opinion, and I'd honestly say Bjergsen would be favoured in this matchup purely based on Worlds, sort of the pressure of Worlds, as he's been here so many times before. He'd have the composure to perform on this stage, whereas Nemesis, this is his first or second time, at Worlds, and obviously he has had experience here, but it's not on the same level. This is a very hard matchup for a Lucian player, as Syndra can just scatter you down and make you regret your basically picking that pick. As for the bot side of the things, I'd say Senna, with that infinite scaling, will be favoured towards the late game against the Jhin, though it is going to be quite hard to actually sustain things. And then it's Rakan versus Alistar. It's kind of a evenish matchup for the spots, as we're going to do our Keystone Runes check-in here. Sort of the usual thing we do. It's going to be Grasp on the Camille instead of Conqueror. That's going to be interesting to note. Obviously, going into a Volibear, you want to be trading quite aggressively. So getting extra health onto your top laner, going to be very valuable for Broken Blade. As for the rest of the map, it's Phase Rush Alistar. That's a big thing to note as well, as Phase Rush Alistar is less of the go one way trick that you have with Aftershock Ali. You essentially want to get out with that Phase Rush, plus it also provides you a lot more speed in dealing with and using your E, as we are seeing a Fnatic late invading here. TSM haven't spotted it until now, and this is going to be an engage. The Grand Entrance has been used by the Rakan. Re-engage coming in from the Alistar, flashes and pulverizes, but he's being taken down. The execute is going to land, and that's first blood to the Jhin, getting Fnatic ahead early, and TSM giving up the pressure around this red buff means that this jungle advantage for Fnatic is going to be ever so good for them. Plus, he's also going to pick up some of the Raptors here. Selfmade's getting bonus after bonus, and this is a very good matchup here. And if I was saying that the matchups across the board were favoured for Fnatic beforehand, getting first blood and an assist on 4 members of your team, this is going to be very hard for TSM to start to make a climb back into this game. Though, Nidalee gonna try and contest these Raptors. Already Selfmade's picked up 1, 2, 3. Gonna pick up 3, 4. But look at the positioning here. He's gonna get Evelyn to try and dive on him, executes procced, and he's actually just gonna get the big chicken. So good fight back from Speaker. Gonna get at least some of the gold back that he's lost in his jungle. Though Fnatic obviously are quite far ahead right now in terms of advantage, and because Jhin has not gone back to base yet, obviously has the Doran's Blade, gonna probably go back quite quick in terms of when he actually gets his actual first reset and buy. He's gonna be getting that quite quickly here, and usually a Jhin goes towards the first buy BF sword, as that gives him a lot more agency to either go for the IE or even the Storm Razor. And as we look at this bot lane as it goes right now, a lot of experience on these two pros here. Doublelift and Reckless have been to Worlds 6 and 7 times each, and looking at domestic titles, Doublelift obviously has been across multiple teams in his career, so he's had a lot more chances to pick up these titles. As for Reckless, who's had to fall behind G2, essentially he's not had the same amount of titles as Doublelift, who's been ever so good in North America. Now, as we look across how the game stands right now, first buy Swifties for Jhin here, immediately spending up that 900 gold to get some boots here, as Alistar may be caught out. Once again, the Deadly Flourish is going to land. Evelyn's down here. The hate spikes are dealing a lot of damage, and that is not going to be, it is going to be the kill, as Rakan picks it up with the Ignite. Hillisang getting some gold into his back pocket, and once again, Biofrost getting caught out here, and that is not good, as that keeps the TSM bot lane further behind after a great play and roam coming down from Selfmade to once again punish the Alistar. Now, interestingly, as we can see right now, we see Broken Blade getting a bit of deep vision into the top red side jungle onto the actual red buff of Selfmade. means that they're going to be able to track the jungler of Fnatic a bit more easily here. And that is going to be very important, because once Evelynn reaches level 6, which she's 2 levels off of, she's going to be very able to carry this game. So being able to track where she is right now is going to be huge, as it means that TSM can try and make plays around this positioning to kind of get themselves back into this game to stop the leak, as we're going to see an engage here by TSM, and that is Broken Blade getting chunked out very low. Flash forward from the Volibear is going to pick up the kill, and TSM get absolutely nothing. And look at Bwippo on the player cams. He's popping off. He's just outplayed TSM's 2-man dive, as TSM get absolutely nothing in response except wasting their own time and their own resources for absolutely no reason. And that has to be an absolute tilter, as this top lane matchup now is going to be even harder for this Camille, who's going to have a hard time dealing with this Volibear 1v1. And because TSM made the play topside, Selfmade tries to make a play bot side, stealing away the Raptors. As we watch this play again, Camille walks headfirst to the wall, trying to get an easy hook shot, but she gets immediately hit by the E. Then the unstoppable ult from Volibear comes through, as Bjergsen's roamed up top here. That's going to be Hextech ultimatum, trapping Volibear, and TSM actually return the kill onto that Camille. And this is going to be better for TSM. Going to try and stop the leak that they've caused, and a few turret plates going over to the top lane, which means that TSM going to keep that gold down to about 200 difference here, which means that this is going to be a little easier for them to deal with. Obviously, with Drake and Herald coming up quite soon, we'd expect possibly plays towards them in about 10, maybe 1 minute. Who knows? Anyway, quick check-in as Bjergsen's going back to buy here. Gonna sell that biscuit, pick up some boots. Probably nothing else. He's gonna return to the map. Obviously, he doesn't have TP. That's on cooldown. Same with Lucian TP, and no TPs are available right now. The one that I'd say that's closest to actually be re-channeled to be able to be used again will be Broken Blade, so TSM possibly looking to play around that, though we do see Selfmade pathing up to the top lane as well as Nemesis, and obviously Bjergsen at this point will be pinging out, hey, my mid lane is missing, probably have to back away there, Broken Blade, and he does, though he now feels slightly more confident to try and step up here, as Lucian probably stepped over that ward that sat in the river here by Herald, and TSM actually are going to feel confident starting this up, considering the fact that we saw Lucian roaming up top here. You would assume that Evelynn would have been around here as well, though TSM don't feel need to worry about her. Just going to start this up. Obviously, with Bjergsen getting mid lane pressure, it means that he can roam first and get the safety for Speaker to get that, and TSM come away with a Herald, though I'd expect this Evelynn to clear out her bot side jungle, probably pick up that blue buff for Lucian, or they're gonna do what I was gonna get to, start up this Cloud Drake. They're gonna get this one, no challenge from TSM, and that is a fairly even trade in terms of objectives. It's gonna be Rift Herald for Cloud Drake, and if I'm TSM, I'd probably be looking to drop the Herald either in mid or at the top of the map, as Broken Blade realistically is your main carry, and Speaker is roaming up here. He is more than likely dropping it. There we go. That will not kill the turret just yet. It's going to drop it to about 1 turret plate left, actually just under that, so TSM cracking open this turret quite quickly, and obviously the more plates you take, the more resistance the turret gets, and that last plate I don't think will fall, and realistically it's going to be quite hard for Broken Blade to actually claim it if he goes for it. Now, looking at the minimap, we do actually see Hylissang roaming up to this top half of the map. He's looking to get out of lane and create havoc across the board, and that means that he's going to be looking to place vision, as Biofrost also is getting out of lane for about 3 or 4 seconds. He's probably just looking to check if Evelynn is around. Obviously, you're going to pop that Scryer's Bloom, spot the ward if there was one, and there isn't. If there was, it's timed out, and just gonna use it, clear out some vision, place their own, and make sure that they can keep Bjergsen safe. Obviously, he's got 1 assist and a huge CS lead over this Lucian. Gonna be quite important that they retain that, as we are seeing TPs almost coming back up for the top laners, as a big trade being landed here by Bwipo, constantly putting pressure onto Broken Blade, means that he's forcing the Camille back under her turret, not allowing this aggressive champion to be what she needs to be, and Bwipo is almost being able to burst out Camille there in the 1v1. Dawning Shadow had to be used to provide the shielding to stop that Volibear from chasing down the Camille in that top lane. Interesting to see how it happens, as Alistar's going to land the headbutt pulverize, and lovely combo there from the center snare, being able to combine that with the headbutt to knock the Rakan, who's hit by the W, into the Jhin, and locking them both up. Now we are seeing Fnatic protecting their vision that they're trying to get into TSM's jungle, and Lucian narrowly avoiding that scatter of the weak means that he keeps himself alive, and is a quick, now it's time we do a quick check-in at items right now, and the CS's across the board. Top lane fairly even in terms of CS. Obviously, Camille has that cull, needs 19 more minions in order to cash that out. Building up for herself the Ravenous Hydro with the Vamp Scepter. Also going to be building up that Trinity Force after that, as Hilly's roam towards the mid lane. As for Bwipo, got himself a Sheen. He's also got a Kindle Gem. Could go for a Frozen Mallet or Black Cleaver, but realistically you'd expect that Sheen to be turned into a Trinity Force as well. As we are seeing Broken Blade being cut out here, the Heart of Death is being put on top of him. The Camille is forcing back, the hookshot's going to land to the wall, and he's bursting out the Evelynn using the Hexet ultimatum, putting her into the last caress. She cannot get out of that Hexet ultimatum, and Broken Blade picks up 1 here. Lucian's, though, has roamed up already, and that's going to be shut down. 1-for-1 trade that I would say favours TSM, as that Evelynn just got absolutely outplayed by Broken Blade there. And TSM roaming down to this bot lane, possibly looking to make a play. Do they know that Hylissang is here? He's cancelled his back twice. Why is he doing that? The center snare will land. He's going to be locked up. The spear lands. That's quickness being used, but it does not matter. Kill goes over to Speaker, and TSM fighting back here, picking up a second kill for themselves in that big play. And realistically, with the support dead, no engage realistically available for Fnatic, also the quickness being burnt as well, that should more than likely be this Infernal Drake over to TSM. As we look at the turret plate gold, TSM pick up 5 plates, netting them a literally 480 gold advantage over Fnatic, which obviously is huge. As we watch this play again in top lane, Volibear chase him down. Camille uses a W to stop him from getting near to him, and then it's just the execute of the Camille by the Camille onto Evelynn, using the hook shot and the Hexet ultimatum, as we see the TSM crew just popping off slightly after that play. But using the Hexet ultimatum to dodge out of some of the damage that Evelynn would put down. Very, very important, as when the last caress comes out from the Evelynn, she's unable to get out of that challenge as well. So TSM playing that fight perfectly in that top lane. And the 2v1 dive does not work out for Fnatic this time, as we've already seen one 2v1 dive by TSM. Speaker and Broken Blade getting punished for that earlier into the game, whereas this time Bwipo and Self-Made getting punished for that top lane trade, as once again Bwipo constantly applying pressure to Broken Blade as he's just chipping him lower and lower, and that turret is more than likely going to fall when this next minion wave crashes in, because Broken Blade already chunked out quite low. He's going to be forced back maybe to base in about now. He could be backing right now, and what do you know, the mini wave is crashing into the turret. Tiamat will not stop this turret from falling though. Broken Blade's re-engaging using that hook shot. Bwipo gonna run away. Feels like he's done enough here in opening up the map for his team. And the big thing about turrets falling for TSM is that provides Evelynn so much more pressure. She's able to get in behind now these roots. As Speaker possibly going to be caught out here. The Evelynn will not land a charm, but the Lucian dashes forward to pick up that kill. Just greedy pathing coming out from the TSM jungler, as he wasn't expecting Evelynn to be hunting him down in his own jungle. But that gives over some gold to Fnatic here, as there's nothing really on the map for them to fight over. Though there is a Herald, I guess you could go for that. Obviously, TSM control the vision around that. So I'd realistically assume the Fnatic will not go towards that and will just try and farm lanes. That's all they need to do right now, as IE has been picked up for the Jhin. Building that Zeal item for a second, as we pan back into this actual possible fight. Hylissang looking to come in from the side. Nothing comes of it though, and we see Broken Blade pathing down to the bot lane to deal with Nemesis's Lucian. Though Self-Made is also down here, possibly looking for an engage. Evelynn gonna be possibly spotted out with that control or placement. Kind of obvious that there's another member down here. If you're TSM, they know that they can get this Herald quite freely. Obviously, if you commit 2 members to the bot side of the map, essentially it means that Broken Blade gets to back away. He's going to recall. And essentially, the trade is a turret for Herald and a couple of souls for Senna. Now, I don't know what's more worth. Obviously, the Herald probably be used to crack open a turret, though it depends how much it's actually used for. A Speaker not going to be caught out there, going to place the ward to keep himself alive, and Rakan in the Fnatic Deathbrush will not secure anything for his team. Well, after I say that, they secure a red buff steal from TSM, so they're getting stuff all across the board. And I don't remember the last time I saw Speaker get a red buff in this game, because I'm pretty sure every one of his has been stolen away by Self-Made, and that is not a good look if you're a jungler at Worlds, constantly being punished for your positioning by the opposition, just stealing away all your buffs. As we look at the total gold across the board here, Nemesis and Reckless hold the gold for Fnatic, and Broken Blade, he's where all the gold is if you're TSM. He's got the Trinity Force, so does the Volibear, and that is a very interesting matchup, as it's Tiamat, Vamp Scepter, Magical Boots, and Trinity Force in the pocket of Camille, whereas it's Trinity Force, it's going to be Ninja Tabby and the Kindle Gem for the Volley. That's a very big difference, considering there's a slightly big CS advantage for the Volibear. He's also behind in kills though, and that turret in the bot lane is going to fall. TSM going to also get a second charge onto the tier 2 turret from the Herald, And with that, they get pressure around this Mountain Drake, and they secure it for themselves. So a worthwhile play for TSM, nets them some gold back into this game. Obviously behind by 500 right now. And you'd probably have to put that down to the CS disadvantages across the board, as well as a couple of kills that Fnatic have secured for themselves. As both sides have lost 3 turrets here, you have to realize that that mid lane turret being open for TSM is going to be huge for Fnatic. And the reason that's important is there's 2 entrances into the TSM jungle for this Evelynn to exploit. She can just roam around this map very freely. In TSM, if we take a look at the inventory, one was just used, but essentially they have to have at least 1 control ward in their inventory or placed near them so that they're not jumped on by an Evelynn. And that essentially means that they're having to waste 75 gold in order to keep themselves alive. They're playing the Evelynn tax. And they've also got sweepers. That's going to be important. As we see bot side, that's a couple of control wards being placed. It means that Broken Blade can play quite aggressive in that bot lane matchup. And with that, this game is slightly coming to a lull state, as both teams are kind of just waiting for an objective to fight over. Obviously, Baron is on the map and Fnatic securing a bit of vision around it right now, though I wouldn't expect any sort of fighting until this Mountain Drake spawns, and essentially the contest for either the second Drake if you're Fnatic or Soul Point if you're TSM. And Syndra may be caught out here by Rakan, not gonna get jumped on as the charm gets put onto her by the Evelynn. Volibear also coming in from the side. Senna forced to use her E to keep her team alive. And TSM just disengaging and playing the side lanes, as we see Camille roaming down to the bot lane to deal with the wave that Fnatic have pushed in. And Bjergsen on the top side just getting himself a wave, though we are seeing Lucian steal once again a grump from Speaker. And that's a big telling point of this game, is Speaker's jungle basically not belonging to him. And the big issue about that is he chose Evelynn, a champion that's meant to get leads early, and he's been unable to do that for himself. Obviously, he's died once, but he has got a kill, though he is behind in CS, which is the big thing. That is a huge factor for him, as he's behind in CS. He's unable to basically get any of his camps, as obviously the solo laners and the carries for TSM will now start to take the Raptors or the Wolf camp, as Senna has been caught out here. The curtain call is going to be opened up. Alistar's going to walk forward, tank up these 2-3 shots, and Senna gets away with her life, though she does have to burn flashes. A re-engage coming in from the Alistar here. We may see another fight, Grand Entrance being used, but he's locked up by the Hexacle ultimatum, and that's going to be a kill over to Broken Blade. He's getting 1 in this fight. Re-engage onto the Volibear, who's hit by a Scatter Weed. The Culling's going to be used across the map, and the Volibear is forced to flash away with his ult. And that is a 1 fight for TSM, as they get a kill. And they can possibly look to position over towards this Baron, though Selfmade may have caught out Speaker. Deadly Flourish will not land, and Speaker is forced to flash away. So, big trade of summoners across the board there between these two teams, as the Ignite and Flash burnt on the side of Fnatic. Obviously the Flash on the Volibear, as we watch this fight again. Essentially, Headbutt Pulverize combo coming out from the Alistar, who rejoins his Camille, and Camille just uses the Hexa ultimatum. And the big thing about Rakan is, he's a jumpy champion. He needs his jumps to essentially provide his team any sort of effect. He also needs the quickness to do stuff. But when you're locked up by a Camille in the Hexa ultimatum, you're unable to charm up all of TSM. You're unable to jump back to your team to provide them shielding. You're unable to do pretty much anything who, as Hylissang, is not going to be able to get the flank off that he was looking for there as his ward placement gets spotted out. Though TSM positioning down for this Mountain Drake, if they get this, it will be sole point. Though Camille is off to the side, the Evelyn's going to secure that for Fnatic. Charm is being placed onto Broken Blade. Will not be popped. And Fnatic disengage off of that play with TSM sitting the bot side. And Fnatic is still walking up towards Baron. TSM are nowhere near this at all. Fnatic are just starting this up. They're just getting away with this. Speaker finally walking towards the pit. They're stopping for wards checking. Dawning Shadow's going to spot this play out. And Fnatic are going to get away with bloody murder as they get away with this. All the summoners being burnt to get away. Rakan possibly could be the focus here for TSM. Hookshot over the wall. It's going to lock him up. That's a Hexa ultimatum. Trapping him in place. TSM going to at least get a kill off of this. Though Fnatic get away with the Baron sneak. And TSM, you've got to be more careful, lads, as you've just given over a Baron. And with that Baron, Fnatic can be looking to push down these tier 2 turrets. Though TSM are the ones right now putting pressure onto the map. Deadly Flourish will not land, and with that stun being unable to connect, it means that TSM can freely take this tier 2 turret in the top side of the map and use this pressure to possibly get some sort of clawback, because obviously with that Baron going over to Fnatic, that's a 2k gold lead gained and obviously secured in a very quick fashion. And Fnatic are probably now going to be looking to crack the base, as I say. Though they aren't pushing too aggressively, Volibear going to push back as Camille shows up to the bot wave to clear that out. And if you look at this gold graph that's just appeared, that gold lead obviously close to 2.7k, 2.8k for Fnatic. And as we look at the items coming in for these two teams, the big advantage I would say is that top lane itemization. And the reason that's so big is Volibear and Camille both have the Trinity Force, but Death's Dance versus Ravenu's Hydra for Camille favors that Death's Dance, in my opinion, for the volley. So much more cost effective as Senna just gets absolutely bursted out by the Evelyn. We didn't even see that on our screens. And that is huge, though we are seeing turrets being traded across the board. As Broken Blade has not stopped his push, Volibear has backed and he's coming to stop the Camille from getting anything else for himself. Hookshot's going to be cancelled here. That's going to be possibly a fight. Volibear's chasing it down. The ult's going to be used. Camille using the W to disengage and is just going to hookshot over the wall. Nothing more than a turret for the Camille in the bot lane, which gets her a bit of gold, but obviously TSM trade that turret for a death onto the Senna and 2 turrets for Fnatic. Big plays coming out from the European second seed as they're just keeping this pace going and going, and it's hard for TSM to keep up as we watch this again. Blue Trinket into the Senna, jump over with the flash, pop, using the last caress to kill her. And it's big play like that that makes this Evelyn pick so feared for this self-made pool of picks. It's honestly, I don't think that he'll get this Evelyn anymore in groups, if at all, at Worlds this year, as it's done so much damage to TSM in this game. And realistically, you have to be worried for the #1 seed in North America, because they're looking to drop their first game as Fnatic sneak the Baron. They absolutely demolish Double Lift in that central 1v1, and we could possibly see TSM contest this third Drake for either side, which is spawning in 16 seconds from now. It's honestly, if I'm TSM, you might have to give this up. It would probably be the smartest play, considering you having to defend your mid lane from this push coming out from Fnatic. And TSM, they're just giving this up. They're giving up their mid lane tier 3, and they're just going to take sole point for themselves. And Fnatic don't even have to stop. Syndra stops her back, and Fnatic get a free inhibitor. And TSM still haven't taken Drake. They've finally done it. Sole point for them. That's Mountain Drake. And Bjergsen TP back to base. Didn't fancy recalling. Obviously, you don't know where the Evelyn is. Probably fearing that coming out from the darkness to pop him. So he's playing it smart and safe. The fear of being bursted out or the base being cracked open by Fnatic. So playing it very, very safe, if I'm honest. Anyway, we look across the board now at items and CS's, and a big CS disadvantage or advantage if you're Fnatic in that bot lane. It's interesting that we haven't looked towards this at all this game, as Jhin versus Senna. And you look at the CS advantage that Jin's picked up. 60 CS up on broken double if Senna. And you look at the items that come in. i.e. Storm Razor, Rapid Fire Cannon. You've then got the QSS and the Executioner's Calling, which are fine part items. They equivalent to a full item in terms of their usage. And that is huge, as Hylissang's got him behind. The quickness is being used. He's looking to charm up TSM. He caught Bjergsen, and TSM's forced into status. They're forced to return back. Dawn Shadow was used over top. Camille coming in from the back. She's on her own though. Hexet ultimatum being channeled, and Hylissang will not fall. Camille will fall though, and Jhin gets a kill, and Fnatic can turn straight to the Baron, and that'll possibly spell lights out for TSM. And maybe not. They're trying to bait TSM using the Fnatic brush, though they were spotted on a ward. So TSM fully aware of what Fnatic were trying to do. Now Fnatic turn to the Baron. They're going to chunk this out quite quickly. TSM possibly could make a contest using that blue trinket to check it out. Alistar's here, and the Baron though is getting very low. No steal for TSM, and possibly re-engage here as Speaker just gets absolutely bursted out by the Evelyn. Re-engage coming in from the Rakan. Grand Entrance will not land. The status of being popped by TSM, and Whippo's forced back to base. Though he does have TP, he can return to this fight. And what do you know? TP's coming in. TSM, very low health bars. Re-engage coming in from the volleyball. He's jumping in, getting the first kill of the fight. That's the second kill. And the third. Double kill for Lucian. TSM wiped off the face of Summoner's Rift. Acing TSM here are Fnatic. Camille is on her own. A hook shot will not pull her to safe. There's the ace once again. Fnatic take down TSM in their first game of Worlds 2020. And oh boy, that was a big performance from Fnatic, showing up on day one. Taking down the first seed from North America in a very clean fashion. Obviously, you have to hype this squad up so much. Obviously, sneaking away the first Baron of the game, executing the Senna by Selfmade, and making this a very dominant performance. Obviously, commiserations for TSM, who kind of just fell behind. Obviously, tried to make plays, though it didn't work, as we see Whippo looking ever so happy after that big win. And we can finally say NA is not greater than EU, but EU is greater than NA, as Fnatic take down TSM in a very clean game. And yep, not much more we can say about that one. A very dominant performance, very clean. Interesting to see how this Fnatic lineup compares to LGD and Gen G, the other two teams in their group. Similar for TSM. How will they do against the Chinese and Korean representatives in the exact same group of theirs? Because coming into Worlds group stage, this was probably the most open group for any one of these teams could win the group. And after this big win for Fnatic, it puts them in a more favourable position to actually win the group and do well here at Worlds to make it out and get into the quarters and the semis, which is a big thing to actually want. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.